Welcome to the Apex Insiders. We got the Push to Cash show. Been a couple weeks. We had some busy schedules happening, so we're now back. We got a full race weekend happening this from NASCAR in Mexico City, F1 Canada. Obviously, I was just telling you how excited I am about Le Mans. That's going to be fun, and of course, we have IndyCar. So. Before we kind of jump into the gateway, which I love that meme that Maxwell posted.
Yeah.
It's like worldwide technology raceway, but everyone calls it gateway anyway.
This gateway.
Yeah, the Bomarito Automotive Group 500. So we're back to an oval. But before we actually get to that, I know we didn't really have the opportunity to catch up. So we apologize about that. Our schedules were just not lining up, unfortunately. And so kind of want to come back to Detroit. I guess maybe let's start with what do we expect, and then maybe talk about how that applies to this way, and then we could talk a little bit about bets and Survivor, whatever, IndyCar, stuff like that with Detroit before we get into the next race. So let's hear it, Nathan. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I apologize. I'm regaining my voice back from the Pacers game last night, so a little rough on that end. But Detroit. That was Andretti favored race, and that Kirkwood said at the beginning of the year. I love when the drivers kind of just give these nuggets out, but he said that Toronto and Detroit are by far their strongest of all the tracks, and then even of the street tracks, which most people associate Andretti with, like Long Beach and Toronto to some degree, but he actually said Detroit was probably where they felt the strongest at. And the problem with Detroit, though, is that it's so it can be really messy. It becomes a little bit of a lottery of just with the cautions, and you can get stuck behind people if you get buried a little bit. So, Andretti did it. Pretty much dominating him, and Herta got on pole, and then Kirkwood was probably should have been on pole. He kind of messed up his lap. He was actually on pace to break the track record on that qualifying lap, so he was flying. So Kirkwood felt like he had the best car, and that comes back to kind of like what we talked about with Long Beach, where they explained that there's something in the Honda engines that allows them to get that power down quicker out of slow turns, which Long Beach has that big, the really slow hairpin, the slowest turn of the whole calendar. But at Detroit is actually like one of the slowest laps that they run. It's not the best like circuit layout, even though we got a pretty good race. And I think their average turn speed is like 50, 60 miles per hour, something on all the turns, which is really kind of weak. But that really favors Honda. And then to favor Andretti, they have those advanced dampers that are supposedly the best in IndyCar, which the suspension allows the tires to really get into the ground there and grip the surface better, and obviously lets them handle all the bumps on Detroit because it's one of the bumpiest. And then it allows them to get that Honda power down a little faster. So I think that really showed in the race when I was watching. I didn't have Kirk in my bets, and I never found the great like live opportunity to take them. So I ended up taking. We'll get into the bets, but at one point I had Will Power at plus 500 live because I kind of thought he was going to get there, but I really saw he would be on Kirkwood's tail, which you can follow a lot closer here at Detroit because they explain there's not as much like aero drag coming off the car since they are going slower into the turns. But you could just see Kirkwood just leave them every time they came out of the end of the corner. And Kirkwood was the best car, and he had several things thrown in his way, just kind of caution sequences and things like that. where Ferrucci and Kevin Simpson and Marcus Armstrong ended up with like 20 laps to go in the lead of the race, and Kirkwood still handled them at a place where it can be tough to make passes. And so, I mean, just tip my cap to Kirkwood. He had like an amazing race,
Yeah.
showed that he had the best car.
Yeah, no, for sure. And I think that's like, and it makes sense going back to your comments about the dampers. You know, they showed that with a bumpy track at Long Beach, right? Like they can have that. We've seen it in the past too at St. Pete's, bumpy track, right? Street tracks are going to always give you that. And you could tell they were extracting the performance. And obviously, when you have two of the three, Andretti's and Podium, that shows like they have a strength. Whether that carries on to next year, but it is something to consider. Like at these tracks where there's a lot of bumps, I mean, they're able to suppress that any kind of like performance issues with that, while others are going to struggle. So just depends on the ride height and everything. And coming out of the corners, that's where it's helping them. They're able to get the traction out of those traction zones. So the slow, tight turns, that's where you're going to have the benefits. So yeah, I mean, it definitely was interesting. It's funny was I was going in, I was like, man, Kirkwood, right? Like, and then it's the Pelot effect, right? We've seen Pelot just dominate all year, and I was like, I don't think I could just take him. I should have, but I just didn't like the odds. I think he was I couldn't remember where he started at the beginning of the week. And I think it was like 7-1, 8-1, I want to say, or something like that. And I was just like,
Yeah.
I'm not ready for that because, it could just be a Pelot race again. And what do you know? Like that was the weekend where Pelot had his failures. I feel like we all kind of expected it. We're like, it's got to happen at some point. If it's going to happen, it's going to be at this track. We knew coming in this track was going to be cautions. We didn't see any cautions in the previous tracks, but these turns at Detroit are much different, right? Like you're kind of going high speed and then you got to brake, and then it's just this tight turn, and everyone is gonna kind of sandwich into each other at some point. So
Yeah, the drivers talked about how because you're going in so slow and you can follow so closely, and also the turns, several of the turns have to have the space for two cars to get in there on entry. But then the problem is that they almost all of these turns narrow on exit, and so that's why kind of you see these people make these moves that seem like kind of risky, and there's passes where one person kind of doesn't make it out of it,
yeah,
and the driver is saying they're learning that like you're tempted all race long because the other tracks, when you're that close to a driver and you're that on them and coming into a turn, you think, okay, like I have to take this opportunity, but it tricks people in Detroit to where they think they have the room, and then they end up either
they
wrecking
don't.
themselves or wrecking the person they're passing.
Yeah, very tight barriers too, especially, right? You can make the
Maybe like a
move.
light pole or something on one of the one of the
Yeah.
turns.
Yeah, and that's not just in Indy, like, in IMSA, because they run the same time. Like I've seen it countless times now. Given IMSA, you can bump into each other, and you're not done for the entire race. But great example was who was it that got into that wreck with Felix again? Wasn't
Uh,
Siegel? It was
Louis
Foster.
Foster,
Yeah,
yeah,
Foster. That right there is a great example of why this track will always give you some type of chaos. And going back to the dampers, it's so bumpy. The car failed him, right? Like that's what bumps
yeah,
will do. People may not really comprehend that with race cars because you're like, well, it should, but they're using the lightest materials as possible, right? Like trying to get weight reduction. You're trying to do all these things that just the simplest bump over a period of time is going to ruin your car. So hats off to Andretti for, really having something pretty solid when it comes to these types of tracks. Um, I can't say I was totally surprised by what we saw. I yeah, but funny enough, I didn't capitalize. I only had two bets, only
yeah.
two, and one of them, Maxwell, if you're listening, we've been joking around about this. Never again. Never again. I got talked into the group bet. I said, fuck it, I will do it. I probably would have lost that money anyways because I was kind of contemplating Lundgaard as like a top 3 bet, and I was like, no, I'll do this. I'll do this. I'll go in
Yeah.
on this. And then I think it was Lundgaard over Malukas. That was my only 2 bets. So 0.62 units won. However, I only had 3 cards for Grid Rival and hit 2 out of the 3. I hit a pretty nice one where I did I think might have been something where you inspired me with, which was a Pato over 6.5, Pelot over 2, and then I included, I think, Armstrong under 11.5.
Yeah.
So I don't remember if that was all you. What I just was like,
Yeah,
yep, I love it, love
I
it.
played that one. Yeah, that was the we've talked about this before, but I love that Polo 2.0 number.
Yeah, yes.
Especially coming off a week where that, I mean, he had to be exhausted of the media run
He's
and
at
all.
his highest of his high too, right?
Yeah,
Like, yeah. And you're
yeah,
going into this track where it could give you this volatility. Yeah,
yeah. And I mean, the wreck wasn't his fault. It wasn't even his
yeah,
mistake. And he was, but I don't think he was going to be there anyways. He probably would still have had a top 5 day, which is impressive that
yeah,
he was still been able to do that. But yeah, I thought that was a perfect spot to use that Polo Worst 2.0 and really kind of extend that multiplier on this card. You know, maybe the 3 play. I did hit another one of I just had a qualifying play of Herta better than 5.5, which he got pole, so easy.
yeah.
And then Pato worse than 7.5. I've just been successful fading Pato a little bit on street circuits
Mm-hmm.
this year. He still had a pretty good day, but actually he finished eighth, so that one was a little sweaty there. So I
Mm-hmm.
had 7.5 on 6.5. He finished seventh, I think, for the race is what it was.
Mm-hmm.
And then I got scared when they had the Ferrucci penalty that he would have bumped up one more, and then Grid Rival would have cleared that big hit out. So
Yeah.
thankful that stood. As far as like my outrights, I did all these pre-qualifying. I was set up with Herta, McLaughlin, Newgarden, and Lundgaard, and I only put a half a unit across those 4, and I was just going to stick with those rolling into the race, especially having 2 of them and like one guy on pole and one McLaughlin at the fast 6. I think, or no, Lundgaard was, and then McLaughlin was like 8th. But then the Malukas like 40-1 showed up on the FanDuel left the lines up after qualifying, and he
Saw
qualified
that.
second. So I was like, I mean, you have to jump on those.
Got to.
So then I had another quarter unit on that, and then I saw that everything kind of wasn't going well in the race, and my chances were narrowing. So that's when I added a quarter unit on Power Live, which looked good at times, but I just don't think he had enough for Kirkwood. And so then I ended up just losing a unit overall when it was my whole plan was just going to be a half a unit because I knew this race gets a little crazy. But I did hit 2 matchups, Power over Award. I was pretty high on Power for that race, and I even took Power for a podium. I got greedy. I had the top 5 in my top 5 for Power ready to go, which would have hit, but the top 3 was sitting there at 5-1. I was like, man, that would be just a great number to hit. So I went the top 3. He finished 4th. So I had a good grid rival day, and I think I ended up, plus 0.74 units. So kind of if I would have hit that power top 3, I would have had a pretty solid day there, up several units. But small profit, I'll take that.
Yep.
You know,
At least we didn't lose. That's
yeah,
yeah. No,
it
I
adds
mean,
up at the end of the year.
yeah, I'm kind of sad, man, because got all those options for Indy 500. I had a big Indy 500. Like I ended up 4 units up on that one, and that was like awesome. Like give me more options, and I will throw some money in it. It's just unfortunate.
Yeah,
Like I'm still stuck with this kind of BS, but at least Grid Rival is giving me that opportunity to kind of continue to play. And if you haven't noticed yet, they did tease live betting, or I should say live pick'ems um, live
Okay.
pick 'em options for Indy 500. So I'm hoping they will eventually bring that back.
Oh, I
Um,
didn't know that.
yeah,
Nice.
so that's a lot of the plays that I did also ended up being just live, even though, man, I was so close to hitting one of them and it was Pato. That one that screwed me on that one. Um, but it was very, very close to hitting that. Where I think I did like 3 different plays. Didn't Daly ended up getting better, and I was like, I just hit by one, just by one. So they were pretty sharp. So they said they might reintroduce it. Maybe not this year. Maybe it'll be next year. But it was cool to see that.
Yeah.
But yeah, let's get into this weekend's race. So we're back to an oval, and yeah. So like as we always talk about, Penske dominated. It looks like the odds are kind of favoring Penske right now. We're pulling it back up actually, where our favorites are shocker is going to be Joseph Newgarden. Wow, he's on DraftKings plus 240, which is kind of disgusting. And you have Pelot, Scott. It's kind of weird this year. I felt like that, like a David Malukas at 8 to 1. It's crazy. Like normally that's supposed to be like 16 to 1 going into it.
Yeah.
So
They're
yeah, but
caught on to
let's
Lucas's
let's
gateway a little
let's
bit.
let's go into your preview and then we can talk about bets and stuff.
Yeah, so this gateway track, it's a 1.25 mile oval, so kind of it's a short oval. We're kicking off short oval season here. Um, will be Milwaukee, Iowa, Nashville is the other ones. But IndyCar returned here in 2017, so this will be the 10th race since that time. And Newgarden has won 5 of those, including 4 of the last 5. So that's why you see Newgarden there at just over 2 to 1. And also, interestingly enough, Newgarden has never qualified worse than 6th, and 8 out of those 9 times he's been 1, 2, or 3. So I mean, the guy owns this place. We talk a lot about New Garden, Iowa, but this might actually be a place where he's maybe a little more dominant. So that's what gives Penske 6 out of those 10 wins. Scott Dixon's won a couple times. On the last one, 2023, was on a ridiculous fuel save. I was at that race, and it was kind of hard to like even know what's going on. I just said like, I was like, how did he get here? This is the classic question when Scott Dixon wins those races. But yeah, I'm actually really excited for this race. As much as we've talked down on the hybrid and been disappointed by some of the racing that the hybrid has given, um, other than Iowa, which I don't believe was the hybrid's fault, was more of the track repave last year. We got some incredible short oval racing, and this weekend is actually the IndyCar's first night race in several years. And so what you get with that is a little bit cooler temperature. Once the sun goes down, the track temp comes down, which should allow for even more passing, even though I don't think it's that huge of an issue once they rubber that second line in, which they do have scheduled to do another highline practice after qualifying. And so we get some pretty electric restarts, some pretty awesome racing late in the race after everything's kind of sorted out. This track layout's a little interesting where turns 1 and 2 are very different than turns 3 and 4. One's much smaller in a sense and a tighter, loop part of the oval, and then it widens out on the other side. I can't remember which way it's flipped, but yeah, I'm pumped for this race, especially being a night race. Just like the little scenery change there. I'm sure we'll have some cautions. People are going to get aggressive. You'll see some drivers start to the frustration of their season starts to kind of come out, and people realizing that they're probably not going to be in the championship anymore. So we're going to be going for it, and yep, I'm excited for the race.
Yeah, I actually keep forgetting that it's a Sunday night race, and it's kind of nice. I'm like, oh, I can actually sit down, peace and quiet. I am definitely going to miss qualifying, unfortunately. I mean, I will try to get it, but it's going to be hard. So I'm excited. Don't have any obligations on Sunday night, so that's really really nice. I can actually sit down, peace and quiet, no distractions. It's going to be great. So trying to figure out my Father's Day plan, also to see my
Yeah.
dad, and try to see if I can do breakfast with him so I can actually watch the rest of Le Mans, or I don't know. There's a lot. So this is the beauty of having a packed racing weekend is it's always going to conflict, always, everything every time. So I'm excited about it. But yeah, going back to some of your race preview stuff, and I mean, I'm not going to overthink this. I think that, like, obviously I still want to target Penske. If you haven't read between the lines here, still going to be targeting them. I know that a few of the guys in the Discord are definitely targeting, Scott McLaughlin. There's some Malukas plays. I don't know what else everyone plays though. I'm going to hold back on just anything when it comes to outrights. I don't want to get too cute. I find that if I do outrights, and I think you do it fine, like, don't take anything what I say, just take it with a grain of salt. I just,
Yeah.
in my point of view, it's like I just seem to always find myself just stuck with, I end up losing more money throughout the season on just that versus just like if I'm patient, see the data, I'd find myself better outcome, even though the odds could be shorter on a driver. And most of the time, I just don't want to do it. I know it's not fun. I know people want to. It's funny when you talk to anyone that's kind of new or trying to get into it. It's like the first thing they ask you, like when someone's like, "Oh, this guy he bets motorsports." I'm like, "Yeah." Well, who are you betting to win? I'm
Who's
like,
gonna win?
I'm not going to
Yeah.
bet anyone to win. If you want to get crazy with some other markets, let's talk. But
Right.
that's just how it is. But I am going to be targeting Scott for sure. I think that just seeing how the season has progressed, if we just throw away like all elements, just driver form, I feel like, and yes, Indy 500 was a mess for him. Out of the three Penske drivers, he seems to be the most consistent. Like he seems to always jump into the car. He seems to have good feels, very minimal issues. It's just more of a like it's been a Penske problem overall that we've seen. Joseph is just I don't know what it is about him this year, and maybe it's fatigue, maybe it's something I couldn't tell you. Maybe it's just whatever's happening in Penske. I don't see that he has that same confidence as he has in the past, and then throw in like the mix of there's been issues with him and his team, like pits, something penalty, whatever situation. And then willpower, I don't think my view has changed with him. He's always a hit or miss guy. He's either going to give you everything that you're expecting from him, or he's just going to fall flat in his face. And I've never been on the right side of whenever I'm trying to fade him or back him. So that's why, like, when I'm looking at Penske, I'm thinking Scott. I just can't look any other way. No offense to Joe, but that's just my personal preference. I do like the Malukas angle. I just don't think I could do it at 8-1. Just going into the weekend, I think it's going to be more competitive than we expect. So you're going to see competition when it gets to qualifying. That you're going to see that top six is going to be pretty rough. And then when you get into the race, same thing, right? Although he seems to have shown it and he can be up there. I just think it's going to be more competitive than we expect from like years past, especially with Pillow. He's doing better in these situations. So
Yeah, for sure.
yeah,
Yeah, I mean, as far as Newgarden, I that like 250 number that he's at, it actually doesn't really.
I can't do it.
I might just as more like I'll play it. I mean, because I play my outrights where I kind of try to spread the board a little bit. I know a
For
lot of
sure.
people just want to pick their one or two guys, but
Yeah.
with my approach, I'm comfortable with playing up to 4 or 5 people, make it work, and winning anywhere from a half a unit to 2 units is kind of how it's spread. And my risk will be anywhere between probably 0.75 units to a unit and a half if I'm really going for it. And so, I mean, just looking at Newgarden's qualifying numbers, that he's never I mean, he's never been outside the first couple rows. Um, doesn't give me, it's not like his history's been all over the place.
For sure.
It's still hard to get the win, but I might end up just putting a little bit there on Newgarden, just because. I mean, the fact that he's won the last 4 out of 5. I do this. I mean, this season's been unbelievably tough for him. Then when you think about like one week was a seatbelt issue, then the 500 where he actually moved himself up to 5th place and was in contention for the three-peat, and then his car broke then. And then the Indy GP was the other one where before the race even started, I think it was like a radio issue or maybe a hybrid part of his hybrid was malfunctioning, and they said to start in the back. So he it's just seemed I think it seemed worse than maybe it really has been, but because you can't necessarily account for some of those things popping up, even though they have been.
Sure. For
Um,
sure.
but I'm on Scott McLaughlin as well. He's got the last 2 poles here. The year before that, he started 4th. So I think if you can get him, I've seen that he's dropped down to 5-1, which I still think is okay. He'll probably be, if he gets in those first row or two again, he'll probably be 3 to 4 to 1. And he's just really picked up his. The guy seems like he's kind of like a sponge, just really picking up every track discipline and like studies the film and everything. So I still have faith in Penske, even though the season has not gone great for them. If I saw Chevrolet is at -175, that's a ton of juice.
Oh
But
my
if
God.
someone was trying to, if they liked Malukas, if they liked Penske, and then you like someone like Pato O'Ward, who's also been pretty good here, he's never won, but you get Pato, and then yeah, that's pretty much all you would need. That's something to think about. I don't. That is quite a bit of juice, but um, and then I think I saw Herta move to 12-1, and that's what I already have Malukas at, and so I think I'm going to add Herta. I know, you know, the rest of the Discord can't really stomach another Herta bet, but
Yeah.
I've always got some room for the
I
sickness,
mean,
I
he
guess.
did fine last race. He did fine. Um,
Yeah, and I mean he was, aside from McLaughlin and maybe Pato, Herta is right there in that conversation of the best short oval drivers last year of who had the best cars and then who was just like just killing it. Like Herta won in Nashville. He probably should have won one of the races in Iowa, but the timing on the caution. He still had several top fives, including that victory. Um, he came last year. He wrecked in qualifying classic, hurt a moment where he had one of the fastest cars. He was about to lay down one of the best laps. So he started 25th and he finished 5th. So I mean, he had. I think I reposted that video too from last year where the start of the race where he just went right down the middle and split like 4 rows of cars, like one of the most insane race starts. So a really sweet onboard. If you and you people haven't seen that video, go check it out. But so that's the three. I'm definitely on McLaughlin, Herta, and Malukas at this point, who has 2 podiums here. He was making them pass for the win. Last year was set up for him, but Power kind of squeezed him and pushed him under the apron on the low side of the track, and his day was done. So, I mean, we're looking at 3 races away with 3 podiums here in Malukas if he's not involved in that incident. So at 12-1, it's a lot shorter than what we'd hope, but the books have caught on to him being good here, and that's where I've started off at.
yeah, I don't know, man. I go through this every freaking time with Indy. I think Indy this year has been interesting to say the least. That's why I also wish they had a little bit more markets to give me more options than just to focus on like outrights and top three. I'm not going to try to sit here and predict who's going to actually, do very well because I still feel like it's up in the air. Like to me, this feels like we're starting the second half of the season.
Yep.
The actual more. I know it's not your traditional oval, but this gives us a flavor of like, okay, IndyCar is a different type of animal when it comes to ovals, right? Completely different in so many ways. It's much longer. The way the characteristic of it, it doesn't really fit like a true traditional oval, of course. So I feel like this is where we finally get a real read of these cars to go forward with all the other ovals that we're going to see coming up on the calendar. We got a great flavor now of like the tracks, right? Not even the road tracks, but specifically like I feel like we can go and sit and talk about any kind of street track and we know what to expect, right? But I still feel like ovals are still a little bit tricky for me to fully grasp with these teams, with the hybrids especially. So I think what I mean, I may be talked into doing an outright, but if I'm going to lean outrights, totally respect the J New play. I get it, but I'm just not going to take that risk right now. I would rather pay the juice, knowing like, okay, he's done so superb through practices. He nailed it in qualifying. If I've got to take the juice, and I'll take the juice, or maybe I'll take a live bet. But Scott, I am still kind of tempted on Malukas. I technically could still get at like 10, I think 950 or 10-1 on Bet US. I am actually, and I was just chit chatting with Tegrity on that, is like, why are we overthinking this? Let's just do Pillow top three. I mean, the guy, okay, he got out of the system, he got his win, but the guy is not going just to sit around and stop from there, right? He's going to come back. He's going to have his bounce back race. Maybe this is the one. That car has just been dialed in. He's been dialed in. I am almost very tempted to say, I don't care that it's at even money. I'm just going to take him top three, like not even going to question it and just might do it. Still thinking about it. Haven't done it yet. So I think that's one of my targets. Just not even going to overthink and just say this
Yeah,
guy has just got it.
yeah. At this point, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if Polo does it. I did take him worse than 3.5 on a grid rival play, just because I on another play I took Lungard worse than 10.5, and that's kind of like a prove it on both those guys, where they have not that they've been bad, but Ganassi isn't necessarily strong here. I would put Penske, Foyt, Andretti, and Pato, basically, not the whole team in McLaren, over a Ganassi car. And so that's what kind of led me into taking Pelot worse than 3.5, and I added Felix better than 10.5, which Felix actually qualified second here last year, and then with a grid penalty started 11th, and then he still ended up, I want to say in the top five, maybe.
I really do like that Felix play, by the
Six.
way. I'm glad you're bringing him up because he was one that I was thinking about as someone that could be really strong here, going back to, Meyer Shank being actually pretty good at this track. So I think I did no, I did the Ericsson better and Lundgaard worse.
Yeah.
I did that. I love that. I just, going back to Lundgaard, just his struggles at this place, and then Andretti being and Ericsson could be strong. But I am trying to think of like, now that I've kind of transitioned to Pick'ems, I'm looking at it again. I kind of like that Felix better 10.5. I wish we had qualifying right now. I don't know. I thought we would by this point, but I guess we don't. If I can get him at 9.5 for qualifying, I will still take him better for sure. But I don't know what to pair him with if I'm going to do, because you have everyone just kind of crowded at the 2.5 to 4.5. I don't want to mess with that. I don't know what to expect from Dixon. And I kind of don't want to put another Lundgaard.
Yeah.
So I thought about Ferrucci, but I feel like it's kind of tight at 12.5. Like he will either bypass that fast or he's going to be not into it.
Yeah. I think the thing with Ferrucci is that he's never qualified well here. He has a long time ago, but he hasn't qualified better than 15th since like 2019, and
Yeah,
so um, that'd almost be like a race day
race day.
thought for me of waiting to see if I want to take Ferrucci of how AJ Foyt was looking as a whole.
Yeah,
Um, I think maybe Graham Rahal fading him at that 15.5. The struggle with that is that he knows how to keep his car clean and just kind of, well, when the attrition happens, that's how sometimes Rahal lands in the top
yeah.
15. But their short oval cars last year were atrocious. I mean, they they were at the back at like all 6 or 7 of those races. Um, I'm not sure about Ed Carpenter either. Like, even though everyone thinks really highly of them at the 500, once it gets to these short ovals, they kind of struggle too. So that's it's Rossi at that 11-10 mark is always kind of tough.
That's where I was thinking about it, but Rossi's also had some pretty good performances. I don't think so much last year. Was it last year? I'm looking at last year. Yeah, he got 15th last year. Oh no, I'm sorry. I meant the wrong one.
He was
Uh,
19th here last year,
19th. Yeah.
but a fourth the year before. But
Yeah.
I would say the McLaren's cars are better than Ed Carpenter's cars here.
And I just don't want so what I'm going to do is I'm going to hold off on placing anything, see what I can get with qualifying because I'm more interested in qualifying than I am before I do race picks. But definitely love the Felix angle. I think he's going to do superb. Um, I think he gets his bounce back too. I think the past, few races or so, it's just obviously he got unfortunate situation last race, but I think he gets back on track this weekend. Um, maybe Renus. I'm not too crazy about him at 14 and a half.
Yeah, that's they should have a boost in their engineering, but I don't know how soon that'll come. I don't know if that'll be their first race. I mean, Dale Coyne's probably them and Rahal are the two worst short oval teams. This will be
Yeah.
Prima's first shot on a short oval, which they kind of talked about with Indy. They brought in people who had experience and they had pretty much a year and 2 weeks of practice to build that car into what it needed to be.
Hmm.
And then with this one, you get one day, you get practice, then you roll into qualifying, and I mean we don't have a chance to fade Prima yet, but um, if we do, I'll be looking at that.
I don't think we'll see one. I think it's a short menu. I think they know that too. I think Grid Rival just knows like this is what we'll put out for now.
Yeah. There were some matchups on like ESPN and
Oh,
365. I haven't placed any, but we
okay.
wouldn't look at those.
Yeah.
Um, some of
Let's
them are the same, some of them are a little different. So um,
Oh,
bet
yes. They're a
Bet
matchup.
365 has Herta and Dixon, Rosenquist and Erickson, which sounds kind of tough. I would lean Rosenquist, but Kirkwood and Power, Award and Malukas, and Ferrucci and Rossi. So I like Herta this weekend, so I may be going there. Fading Dixon's tough, but sometimes he just kind of sits around in that, you know, in these short ovals. He's not really like
I
a
mean,
threat.
and for the price, I mean, it's at minus 105. It's not
Yeah,
like it's minus 115 plus or any more than that. I don't think that's a bad. If it was at like plus 120 or something like that, I'd be all over that for sure. Plus 110, yeah. Well, I'd be all over that. Like I wouldn't even think twice just because I'm a lot. Even though yeah, we make fun of Herta a lot, but when the odds are presented like that in a situation like this, it's hard not to do it because you're not really paying the juice, and he has that
yeah.
opportunity.
So ESPN has a minus 120 over Kirkwood. So Kirkwood here has finished 17th, 15th, and 22nd. I think he had a car issue last year is why he was so low. But
Mm.
um, his oval performance is improving, and Andretti is quick, but that might be a play that I take of just kind of another like make Kirkwood prove it to me that he's
Yeah.
becoming a factor in these short ovals, kind of like I said with Lundgaard and Pillow. Um, and then there was power in Kirkwood on the Bet365 side, so I'm kind of trying to decide where I want to take Herta the most and where I want to kind of fade Kirkwood the most, and might end up there with the
That's a tough one. The power in Kirkwood, like my mind wants to fade Kirkwood, but then you're like, oh God, it's with power. Ugh.
yeah. Which and then ESPN also has Daly and Armstrong. I'm leaning Daly there. These short ovals are really where he has stayed in IndyCar. He saved his career last year at Milwaukee with that podium
Mm-hmm.
and getting um, Hunkos Hollinger in the leader circle from his performances. Armstrong's not bad, but he's still pretty limited in his experience.
Mm-hmm.
Short ovals. Um, and then the difference ones they have Dixon and Power on ESPN instead of they flip the Power or the Kirkwood and Herta there and match them up. So that's the only difference on that side.
Yeah, this is what they do. They're only going to give us these matchups. They're kind of trappy in some way,
Which
making it.
Ferrucci over Rossi, that might be. I hadn't thought about that much, but let's see.
I just know if I fade Rossi, I'm going to get some. He finds
He,
it,
might, he
or for
makes us pay. And
yeah, yeah.
what I
Uh,
guess Austin Ferrucci has not been that great here. He finished fourth all the way back in 2019, but other than that, he has a 16th, a 10th, a 13th, and 12th.
who is this?
So
Who? Which one?
Ferrucci.
Ferrucci.
So most of the time, I mean, we see him getting to a lot of his top tens in oval season, but it seems like Gateway maybe is
His crutch.
a little bit. Yeah, I mean, it's not terrible results where he doesn't qualify the best and he doesn't really move through the field like you would think. So yeah, I'll probably lay off that Ferrucci and I'll have to wait and see how he's looking this
Mm,
weekend.
well, now you got me tempted to do better Felix at 10.5, and now Ferrucci worse than 12.5. Which means, though, technically speaking, who would be up there? Which that would mean like Rossi would be up there. You would need Lundgaard, Erickson, Dixon,
Yeah, I mean,
Kirkwood.
I think you could easily see three Penske's in the top 10. Pillow and Dixon are going to be a factor in that. I don't think two Andretti's finish in the top 10.
Let's say
And
one.
obviously, Pato and Malukas are, they should be top five
It
cars.
should feel kind of crowded. So then maybe his number is best suited at like 14.5. You know what? I've already talked my mind into it. I'm going to do it. I'm just
There
going to
you
do it.
go.
This is the official podcast push to cash uh, gateway pick'ems play. We're going to roll with it. Actually, I'll do because I don't know how I end up with these $5. I'm just gonna do no, I'll do $20 on that one. Because I want to get into the qualifying. I want to get deep into that first before I go crazy. So we got the official play. It's in. So Ferrucci Wars 12.5, Felix Better 10.5. Yes, sir. All right. But yeah, going back to the matchup. Sorry, I was going back to that. I was like,
No, it's
maybe this
good.
was good. Maybe this is a good. That was good insight right there. So I'm gonna use that.
It helps you think about the grid rival plays when you think about people going head to head first, and
Yeah.
then
Well, technically, you could if you don't have access to matchups, you could play the Rossi better or worse. Yes, it's 11.5 and 12.5, but I mean, the books are basically pricing it, minus 115. So now it's making me contemplate. Maybe I should do Rossi if I get that option, but at this point I don't have that option, so I'm not going to even noodle with it. Okay, cool. What other markets are there? If there are any.
There are other groups
Oh,
on Bet365. Your favorite here.
oh my God.
Um, I love a group play. I love kind of like the outrights. I love taking two people as a kind of a safe minus 140, but I'm just not seeing anything here. Um, I would lean actually that group B. I would lean Felix and Erickson over Lingard
Okay,
and
I will
Ferrucci.
give you this one because yes, out of this group, you take both of them. One of those two's got to hit. One of those two against Ferrucci or Lundgaard. I'll give you that for sure.
Yeah, and I know. I mean, some people just don't like to play. Like some people,
I
because you
hate
end
it.
up you're paying. Yeah, and I mean, I just don't mind kind of paying juice to make it feel a little safer play. I'm just trying, just trying to
Yeah,
win the bet
yeah.
and win each market. So
Having a little
um,
fun.
I mean, I only get 17 of these. They give me three markets to play. I gotta go for it
Yeah,
every week. I get
I
it.
don't blame you one bit. But like
Yeah,
F1 post group plays, and when someone throws that out in F1, I'm like, look somewhere else, please. You have a Cheesecake Factory menu of options.
yeah.
Do not just get away from groups. Yeah. Okay, so there's only two groups, and then you have Dixon, Herta, Kirkwood, Power. I don't want to touch any of that. I guess maybe Herta is your.
If
Yeah,
I'm doing a pick two, I'm leaning Herta and Power in that.
yeah.
I mean, I might go. I might have some fun and play both of those. Both the groups after I said I wasn't going to touch them. So
There you go.
I need something to play.
Maxwell is probably gonna listen to this and he's gonna be like, "Yes, someone did it. Someone
Someone's
did
playing.
it." Oh God, am I gonna get sucked into this, man? I bet you he's gonna tag me. He's like, "I know you want to play these." So I think I was just logging into BetUS, and they do have. Come on, work with me here. They do have groups. They got podium and groups now.
Very good. That US coming through. I gotta figure out how to get money out of there, but go the little crypto route. But
Yeah, I had the whole rollover thing, and that took a long time. I even was just trying to force myself to place bets that I was like, you know what, let's just get through this. I don't care if I win these bets,
yeah,
just try to get through my rollover. It took me 2.5 years. 2.5.
yeah, I passed.
Insane.
They give you those good looking deposit bonuses, and I'm just like,
I don't do
no,
those anymore. I
yeah,
don't do.
please,
I'm like, no, I'm done with that shit. I don't care
yeah.
about your bonus. No more. No
And which
more.
they had counted my fastest lap play for the Indy 500. They counted as a loss. It took them a week to correct it. They kept telling me, they kept sending me my other prop that won. I can't remember what I played on that, but I think it was car number,
Yeah.
winning car number. And they kept sending me that bet and said, well, we've already marked it as a win, as if I would be asking them to change my win to a loss or something. But
I gotta check. Was that
um,
from 2 weeks ago, or was that a long time ago?
yeah, I mean that was from the 500. So I did the
Oh.
car number and the fastest lap, both of them unders, and they both hit. I played that was on their big prop special menu.
Let me go back and see. Oh, but I'm gonna check on that. But yeah, let's. I do want to shift over to fantasy, and I've been on a generational run. Although last race didn't really help me. I kind of moved back 2 spots. I am up in the top 20, though. I am there.
Yeah. It's in
It's
the
crazy.
35th, so I've moved my way up too. Um, one of these I got hurt on. I had Erickson in the 500, and then that basically I had as like my star driver too, and got crazy points from him, and then got DQ'd and fell from that. But still, I'm feeling good about Grid Rival. Things have started to turn up for the better for me. I don't have as many people wrecking, which in oval season will probably happen. But
What's funny is I had, my lineup was doing so well. I actually didn't have Malukas. Wait, I don't think I had him last week, but he did well last week. I had Foster though, because I had to put in my lineup after the 500. I had Foster and Islet because I needed some cheap guys in there, and then I was on my last contract with Pillow. All three of them DNF'd.
yeah,
I was like, "You're
yeah,
fucking kidding me, man. Are you kidding me?" So yeah, no, I don't have an option to put Pillow, which is fine, but he lost me 2 million on that. I had Kirkwood last week, which was awesome. Gave me a lot of monies, and but yeah, I think it's time to get back to. I can get Malukas back in, which I'm
yeah. I
probably
mean,
gonna do. Yeah,
Lucas is probably the play of the week with his value.
yeah,
You aren't normally going to get a guy for 12 million that you think like has a really good shot to podium a race. So kind of same
yeah,
thing with Daly. Daly at 12.6.
yeah.
With ovals, you gotta shift your mindset of the guys you're taking lower, and you can get some pretty good value in that middle range. Um, I can't use Felix, but his price is not bad.
I was gonna
Um,
say Felix is a good buy low spot here if you're going to do it. So like what I was thinking of doing was those two with one. Well, maybe Felix I would sign on longer, but I'm thinking of keeping Malukas to one race because the next race is Road America. I don't know what to expect from him at Road America. So, and I haven't gone through. I probably should check that out. But Felix, I feel like you at 16.6 million, that's pretty damn good. He's in like Armstrong Rahal territory. Erickson 13.3. It's pretty
yeah,
good.
and then I mean Newgarden and McLaughlin both at 20 million for guys that one of them should win this race.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm fitting both of them on my lineups for every lineup I can. So especially McLaughlin as like a long term play. He's the eighth.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he's the eighth. You know, lowest or highest driver, I guess, however you want to look at it. But he's gonna finish much higher. I mean, he's had some bad luck too.
Mm-hmm.
This guy's a top three in the championship kind of guy. I mean, I think that's McLaughlin's a kind of a great move to get you points, but also some salary back from his contract.
Yeah. I have Pato for one more week. So I'm trying to think because I did that. I actually had put Scott in for, I just put him in for 5. I'm going to trust that he should be solid for the next 5 races. Probably going to do, because I want to bring Pillow back in potentially. I don't know. We'll see how he does. And then I kind of like that move. I can't decide if I should do Joseph or, but then I would have to find a lower tier driver if I do that. Or I could go the route of maybe I play daily for one race. I mean, he should qualify pretty well here.
Yeah, strategy wise, this one's we're flipping from a street course to an oval, and then we're going into 2 road courses after this, I believe. So
Yeah.
it's kind of a thing where the longer contracts you're not gonna probably want to use on most people, I would think. With
Because
so
I'll
much,
have, yeah, because if I do that, then if I set it up the way I have it set up right now, so I'd have Pato and Herta who are already locked in. I'd have Pato for one race, then he would be locked to next race. So that'd open up a spot. Herta I have for another 4 races. I just felt like the value that I was getting him at the time was just too good to not put him on my roster. I'll put Scott for 5. but then Felix, Malukas, and Daly at 1, which potentially I may stretch Felix to 5. So then going into the next race, I would have 3 options of whoever. And let's just pray we continue to increase the salary because that'll keep my flexibility on who I can add. So I'm actually going to do Felix a little bit more. I'm going to do 5 for him. Yeah, I think that's what I'll set up for now. And I'm going to hate myself for not putting Joseph Newgarden probably.
See,
We'll see.
it's kind of interesting. He's obviously got 5 wins, but then after that, when he doesn't win, he's finished 7th, 12th, and 25th. So it's like kind of, just all of it or nothing in a sense.
Yeah. Yeah, so far I'll have it set up like that. Well, we're about to get to an hour, which was good. I know we wanted to catch up on some Detroit. I know it's been a long time for us, so I am totally okay with this. So you guys got a little bonus pod here where it was a recap of Detroit and what we are expecting in Madison this upcoming weekend. But any last thoughts, comments, bets that you want to throw out there for everyone?
No, I'm sure I'll have some stuff come in here once I make up my mind on the groups and the matchups. So just get Discord, you'll see those, and yeah, I'm just excited for this night race, and I just need the Pacers to get 2 more wins, and life is good. So
yeah, man, life is good. Well, I appreciate it like always, and looking forward to this race, Sunday night race. Again, get into the Discord. We are heavy chatting. Actually, not just IndyCar. I mean, one, I got to say, this year has been absolutely amazing for our IndyCar chat. It's just as active, if not more active right now than even F1. Seems like we have a Le Mans chat going on too. There are going to be some bets if you are very interested in that. Like, they are going to actually post some odds. So already been discussing my targets for each class. Got them all ready to go. We're just waiting for odds to drop. So we appreciate everyone, and also look for the F1 pod that should be coming out today, hopefully. So, all righty, we'll see you on the weekend.